Redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Give him some praise if you're redeemed tonight. Sometimes we need to praise him when we don't feel redeemed. Amen. When it seems like all hell is broke loose, man, that's when I want to praise him. When it seems like I can't praise, devil don't want me to praise, I'm just stubborn enough, I'm going to praise anyway. And so I give him glory tonight. If, as you're seated, greet someone and tell them you're glad to see them. Amen. God is so good to us. He's been gracious. I pray your week already. I know it's hump day, middle of the week. I don't know if it's trash day for you guys or not. I used to work with some guys. Every Wednesday was trash day, and I heard all the time, man, today's trash day, and I forgot to set the trash out. And so I'm going to ask you, today's trash day, if you'll let God have your junk, you have an opportunity tonight to just set your trash out and let him take it on, and you won't have to fool with it anymore. And so don't forget to set your trash out tonight. I love trash day. We don't have trash pickup at our house, but man, I think about all the junk God took away from me and has allowed me to walk free of and walk in freedom continually. And so I challenge you to do that. If you're still hanging on to your junk, man, throw it in the bag and get it out of there. I know some of you would like to do that with some of the people in your life. And okay, we got two amens. The rest of you is trying to think of who all it is. You can't keep count. But we are excited to be in the house of God tonight. I pray your week has been blessed. I pray that you've seen the hand of God somewhere. Surely you've seen it somewhere this week. The title of my message is It's Not Over. I love that title because that's kind of the way I live my life. If I had an anthem, it would be It's Not Over. If I had a time when I'm sick, a time when I've been diagnosed with a bad diagnosis, a time when everything was against me, all hell had broke loose, then that's my anthem. It's not over. And so I declare that tonight over you in this house. I declare that over Life Changers Christian Center. I declare that over this ministry, your ministry, our ministry. And I believe tonight, no matter what you're going through, if you'll grab this word, then you'll have a revelation when you leave here, and you'll kick the devil right in the backside, kick him right in the pants, and you'll say it's not over. Amen? Somebody say it's not over. Praise the Lord. See, you've already started out on the right track before I even got a message out there. And if you believe that, I can just close. 3 people believe it. I'm preaching. Praise the Lord. And so it's not over. We're going to talk a little bit about Samson and Delilah, and probably a story you've heard. If you've not heard it, you've heard it sung about. And I mean, I don't listen to any secular, but even back when I used to listen to secular music, there was always a comparison or a statement made about Samson and Delilah. So probably everybody knows the story. And if you don't know the story, you kind of know the storyline. And if you don't know the storyline, you're going to know it when I'm finished. And so we're mostly going to talk about Samson. But the fact is, Samson went down and met this harlot. And this harlot, once he met her, then he went to be with her. And so we're going to stop with that right there, just relational. But he went to be with her. And so when he went to be with her, man, he fell in love. Have you ever been in love? Well, he was probably in love, and he was probably a little bit in lust. And so he's in love emotionally, and he's in lust naturally. And so what happened there is once you become in lust, then you lose all track of any common sense, right? At least 5 of you has been in lust before. And so when you're in lust, you lose all common sense. You don't think straight. You do crazy stuff. You don't even know what's going on. You've completely just about lost your mind. And if you don't know what that means, bless your heart, and maybe congratulations. But when that happens, then the story changes. And so we see that Samson has already tore the Philistines up. I'm from Fort Chiswell, so it's Philistines. You may be from Whitfield, and it's Philistines. Whichever side of the track you're from, just bear with me. And so he's already caused great destruction and great death of the Philistines and the Philistines. And by the way, they're cousins. And so the Philistines came to Delilah and have offered her 100 pieces of silver and said, listen, if you can get him to confess to you, to give you the secret to his strength, what his source is, then we're going to give you 100 pieces of silver. And so listen, Delilah was not in love. Y'all get that. Y'all get that in a minute. Delilah was not in love. She wasn't probably even in lust, because had she been in either one, she would have defended him somewhere, and instead she's after the 100 pieces of silver. You good? You have friends like that. You have friends like that they're your friend till something better comes along. They're your pal till something move them a little higher up. They're your confidant even, and you've shared all your secrets, but the first time they get a friend that's better than you are, then all your secrets go out into outside space. And so 3 times Delilah's gone to Samson and said, hey, what's your source? Just tell me your source. Just let me know, baby. Come on, honey. Please, baby. And I'm sure all kind of loving went down right there. You know what I'm saying? Because she's trying to get the secret to his success and the secret of the source of his strength. And so 3 times she asked, 3 times she tried to seduce him, and 3 times he lied and deceived her. And so here we are, man. If Samson's ever going to make a go of this relationship, this is it. He's going to have to come clean this time, because the 4th time's the charm, and that's where we're going to pick it up. I don't want to paint you a picture of what it looked like in that room they were in, or that place they were in, that tent they were in, but I do want you to know that she had been seducing him. I do want you to know that he had been lying and deceiving her. You have friends like that too. Hallelujah. You have those kind of friends. And so tonight, by the time you're finished, you're going to cut some people loose, and you're going to cut some junk loose if you'll allow it. And so 4 times the kicker, we're in Judges chapter 16. I challenge you to read this book. It's very important. I promise you it'll change your life and it'll change your direction. It said, and then she said to him, how can you say I love you? I told y'all, didn't I tell you he loved her? Didn't I tell you, I lust you, baby. I love you, baby, because they didn't fall in love over a period of time holding hands and walking through the park. A lot of people don't do that anymore. And so he's in love with her and says, how can you tell me that you love me when your heart is not with me? Oh, here we go. Here we go, fellas. She getting ready to tire him up. You already can see it, can't you, guys? You can see it. You can see something crazy is going down here. He's getting ready to buy her a car, give her a diamond, run his credit card to the max. This is serious right here. And it says, you have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your great strength lies. And it came to pass when she had pestered him daily with her words and pressed him so that his soul was vexed to death. Have you ever just been vexed to death? That enough is enough. You either going to have to get out of here, or I'm going to have to give in, one or the other. And so he gave in. And so he finds that his soul is vexed to death, that he told her all his heart. And he said to her, no razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If I am shaven, then my strength will leave me, and I will become weak and be like any other man. Let me challenge you with something. Don't tell all your secrets. All you people that like everybody to know your business, this is going to be a great story for you to stop it. There's people you can trust. There's people that'll be your confidant. And there's people you can't trust as far as you can throw them, and I doubt you can throw them very far. And so it's not always good to air your dirty laundry, your clean laundry, air your business. I have seen ladies confide in ladies that told all the pluses and all the great things of their marriage and just what their man loves, only to find out that friend took their information and now he loves her. I'm just saying. And so I'll leave that as simple as it gets and not dig in your business, but you have to be cautious what you let out of your mouth and who you let have it. I am very protective over everything, just to be honest with you, everything. I don't share everything with anybody except my bride. I don't share everything with anyone except my bride. And so there's a reason for that. You can guard your integrity, you can guard your honor just by keeping it zipped. Amen. Y'all took that so well. And so no razor has touched my head. I've been a Nazirite from my mother's womb, and if anybody cuts my hair, I will become weak, and I'll be just like any other man. Verse 18, when Delilah saw that he had told her his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, come once more. Come on, guys, really, just once more, for he has told me all his heart. So the lords of the Philistines came up to her, brought the money in their hand, paid in full. And so when you have those kind of situations, listen, it don't take a rocket scientist. No brain surgeon needed. You just listen to the Lord. Let God use your discernment. Let God use some discernment. Let the Holy Spirit lead you, because you don't even need to be right here ever again. By the time we're finished, you're going to say, I remember when. I know when that happened. I know exactly when I broke trust. I know when they broke trust. I gave them too much information. And that's exactly what happens. And so we're going to talk about that a little more in a minute. And so they came, and listen, it says right here, they brought the money in hand, and she lulled him to sleep on her knee. Oh, baby, popcorn, sit the popcorn and drink on the table, because I want you to just rest your weary bones. It says she lulled him. Have you ever lulled your man, ladies? I lulled him to sleep. I lulled him because I love him. And so she's lulled him to sleep on her knee, and he called for a man and had him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. Then she began to torment him, and his strength left him. Now, that's what happens when we just open up too much. We don't have the upper hand any longer. We don't have any hand any longer. And she said to the Philistines are upon you, Samson. So he awoke from his sleep and said, I will go out as before at other times and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had departed from him. Then the Philistines took him and put his eyes out and brought him down to the Gaza. They bound him with bronze fetters, and he became a grinder in the prison. However, the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaven. And so everything that's led Samson to this point, it's been errors in judgment, it's been lust, it's been crazy ideas. He lost his mind, he's had failures, he's made mistakes. Listen, he's been a God's man, though. Don't misunderstand me. He's been a God's man. He's been a soldier, a warrior for God. He has done more destruction to the Philistines at this point than anybody else. It's been completely crazy. If you could have been there with him all the way leading up to this point, you're still wanting to follow him. You still want to follow him through his errors. You still want to follow him, even if it means you standing outside of Delilah's tent while they take care of personal business. You still want to follow this guy. He is a guy that you still want to be a part of his life. You still want to see where he's going. But now that everybody's turned on him, now that the Philistines have him, nobody wants anything to do with him. Now he's just a folklore. Now it's just talk of the past. Now it's woulda, shoulda, couldas. And we understand that what brought him here was bad decisions, not guarding his integrity, letting his guard down, and at times even carrying a spirit of rebellion. Really. And so what's brought you where you're at? Failures? I feel sure. Mistakes? Yes. Errors in judgment? Absolutely. A spirit of rebellion? Yes. You didn't keep your guard up? Absolutely. You didn't guard your integrity. You didn't guard your honor. You let everybody in when you should have closed up a little bit. You've given yourself and you've given yourself and you've given yourself, and now there's nothing left for you to give. And that's not a bad trait to have, but it's a terrible trait when you run out. When you run out, because guess what? The ones you fed, the ones you kept up, they don't care about you. They really don't. They don't care. Listen, they've moved on to somebody else that's going to take care of them. Somebody else that's going to not have their guard up. Somebody else that don't care about their honor. Somebody else that didn't think about their integrity. Somebody else that's operating in rebellion. And so if we're not really careful, listen, we're not doing anybody any good by doing that, especially not yourself. And so when you find yourself in this place that you feel like, man, it's over. Here I am. Both of my eyes have been gouged out. They've got me in the prison. I'm running a grinding wheel, and I have nothing else left. I was the guy that killed the 1,000. I was the guy that they used to talk about. I was the guy that they chanted and wanted me to do good. I was the guy that lit the fox's tails on fire. I was the guy that made all the difference, and now I'm at my lowest of the low. Is that you? Is that you? If that's you, it's okay if that's you, because listen, there's more to this story. It's okay if that's you. The biggest problem we have is admitting that it's us. Admitting that it's me. You know when I'm going to get help? When I admit I need help. You know when I'm going to get delivered? When I admit I need delivered. You know when I'm going to get past that addiction? When I admit I have an addiction. You know when I'm going to get rid of that terrible relationship? When I admit it's a terrible relationship. Do you know when my finances are going to get straightened up? When I honor God's word with my finances and he begins to bless them. And so it all falls on me or on you. And so if I'm going to walk any different, stand any different, fight any different, be any different, I have to realize what my situation is. Samson realizes the situation is pretty bleak. He's gone from hero to zero, in just one night. He wrote a 0 in one transition. He wrote a 0 in just one heat of the moment. He wrote a 0 in just one situation. One error in judgment cost him everything. One error in one time, one to talk. And listen, this love thing, I can't say it's overrated, but this lust thing, it's overrated. It's overrated. It'll leave you wanting more. It'll leave you busted and disgusted. It'll take you further than you wanted to go. Guarantee it. And so we find in this situation that Samson has to either come to himself and have a revelation of who he is in God, or he's just going to die right here. And so we understand, here's the best part. And so if that's left you there, I mean, Samson is right where he is because of all those things. The Philistines have Samson right where they want him, right? However, somebody say however. However, look right here, verse number 22. I just have it by itself, I think. Yeah, however. You see, sometimes there's just a moment that you need a however. That the doctor gave you a diagnosis, however. I lost my job and I don't have, however. My groceries, however. And so you need a however moment. Samson is having that moment. He knows he's at the grinding wheel. He knows his eyes have been gorged out. He knows he's not the same guy physically that he was just weeks before or months before. But he realizes, guess what? His hair is growing back. But get this. It really wasn't his hair, was it? In that one scripture it said he did not realize that the Lord had left him. It didn't say he didn't realize they had cut his hair. It didn't say that. Why did the Lord leave him? Why did the Lord leave him? Because in an act of rebellion, in an act of lack of action in guarding his integrity, in a mistake, in an error in judgment, in a downright sin, he lost that relationship with God. He lost that thing with God. Because he gave up the thing that God had given him, because he gave that up, then he gave God up. When you and I go about our daily business, it wasn't the cigarettes that gave us cancer. It wasn't the alcohol that gave us cirrhosis of the liver. It wasn't those things. It was the act of rebellion. Once you had the knowledge that that thing would cause you harm, the wages of sin is death. And I'm not just talking about cigarettes and alcohol. That's the only two I could think of. And so those two things I'm thinking of, let me challenge you with something. That cigarette pack says may cause cancer. Your rebellion says, well, it may not. I looked up some statistics, and I may be wrong on this because there's 9 million sites to find them. But my understanding is if I smoke cigarettes, I'm 20 times more likely to get cancer than a guy that does not. Okay, if I go vaping, pay attention to me, vapors, because that's about as nasty as it gets. So vapors, all you vapors, listen, you are 7 times more likely to get cancer than a cigarette smoker. So now you are 140 times more likely to get cancer than a non-smoker. So we've gone from 20 times, we've gone from 7 times, and now we're 140 times more likely to get cancer. Why does that make sense to you? Okay, it's what I thought. It don't make sense to me either. And so when we're diagnosed with that, you didn't get cancer today. You didn't diagnosis today. You got cancer along the way. You got poisoned along the way. You fell subject to sin and lust along the way. You didn't guard your integrity along. Your marriage didn't fall apart today. Your marriage has been falling apart because you weren't guarding your honor. You didn't lose your relationship with your spouse today. You've been losing it because you weren't guarding. I would love for somebody to just be real and come to me sometime and say, and instead of saying, listen, Pastor, it just happened. I mean, it was just like, boom, it just happened. Really? Boom? Boom. Boom. Boom, it just happened. Boom, I found somebody else. Boom, I've been sneaking around. Boom, I've sent 47 text messages a day. Boom, I found out what her husband or what his wife's schedule was so we could meet. Boom. Samson didn't even have a boom moment. Samson's pretty smart. Samson's sharp as a tack. And so right now, he's running a grinding wheel, pondering his boom moment. He didn't just get caught that night. He didn't just get lulled that night. This thing has been a process. But here's the thing about it. You may be right in the middle of your process. You may be right in the middle of your moment. This may be the message that God delivers you. This may be the message that when you change your mind and turn your thinking and start going in a different direction, repent means to turn around. That you repent tonight and start doing different than you've been doing. This may be your defining hour. This may be that moment that your marriage is saved. This may be that moment that your relationships are saved 6 months down the road. Why 6 months? Because there's not a boom. This may be the moment when you don't get cancer next year. This may be the moment that you don't get cirrhosis next year. This may be the moment that you don't die lost next year. That you make up your mind that I'm going to be what God's called me to be. You see, right here in the moment, I love my title. It's not over. I love the title. Because if I were to visit Samson right now, if I were to go down in the dungeon right now with Samson, it would be a terrible sight. His eyes have been gorged out. I doubt he got very much medical attention, and I'm sure nobody has bathed him. And he's been running that grinding wheel in the prison, taking care of anything they told him to take care of, and as much as they told him to take care of, probably getting beat daily, tormented daily, made fun of daily. You can bet all the guys that knew his strength that he had probably thrown around at one time or the other, killed their best friend in the heat of the moment, destroyed all their crops and all their houses just in one night. They want revenge on this guy. And so you can bet there's not a just happened moment here. You can bet while he's sitting there, he's pondering some things. You can bet while he's sitting there waiting on the diagnosis from the doctor, waiting on the MRI report to come back, waiting on the CT scan to come back, waiting on the test results, you can bet he's pondering some things. Waiting to see if she's going to call back, waiting to see if he's going to text me again, waiting to see if her marriage is over. You're going to ponder some things. Waiting to see if your friends are still your friends after all this, and waiting to see if they're going to welcome you back in at church after all this. See if I'm going to be a part of that family again after all this. And it'll make you ponder some things. And so I believe while Samson's pondering some things, listen to me, it's not over. I love that we find him right there at the prison. He's running the grinding wheel. Let's look at verse number 21 again. It says, "And the Philistines took him, put his eyes out, and brought him down to Gaza. They bound him in bronze fetters, and he became a grinder in the prison." I'm glad the story didn't stop there. I'm glad that your story didn't stop here. Your story didn't stop today. Your story, whatever your story is right this moment, whatever it looks like right this moment, whatever your relationship is with God, whatever your relationship is with the enemy, whatever your relationship is with your spouse, whatever your finances look like, however you and your kids get along, however you and your person get along, you and your boyfriend, girlfriend get along. You may have set a wedding date, but I don't know. You may have got everything, but well, I don't know. And you've been pondering some things. Tonight you put your pondering away. Tonight's a great night to make up your mind. Because right now, tonight, I want to tell you something. First, it's not over. But whatever you're facing, there's a however. Whatever you're facing. Maybe you feel weak. I feel weak. However, my God is strong. I've been diagnosed. However, my God is my healer. We've been broken. However, my God is my provider. You see, there's a however moment in this house tonight. There's a however moment that you can grab and, man, you can hang on to with all your life. I promise you, this however moment that Samson is experiencing, he's getting ready to hang on to it with all he has left. And so your however moment is going to come tonight. Mistakes, however. sin. However, listen, isn't that awesome that the Redeemer is here? Isn't it awesome that the Savior is here? Isn't it awesome that people can call you a sinner? However, my life may look like, however, I know what I done yesterday. I know what my last 6 months look like. I know what's been going on. However, I came to church tonight, and tonight the deliverer is in the house. That addiction that I picked back up. However, you see, I just get excited when you come in here for something more than to sit in the air conditioner. I get excited that you come for something more than to tell stories in the foyer and tell all your war stories and show all your pictures to all your buddies. I like it when you come in here and settle in and you get your ears turned out and God has your attention and God gives you a word that tells you that it's not over. The craziness that you're going through is not going to kill you. It's not over. The diagnosis does not have to be the end. The addiction does not have to control you. That habit that you have in that relationship can end tonight. It's not over. I love that listen, there was times in my life, if I didn't realize that and grab that, I wouldn't be right here. But it's not over. Listen to me. Don't let that hold you bound any longer. Do not let that keep you. Do not get a hold of that thing that has a hold on you. Make up your mind that it's not over. Make up your mind that there's a however moment getting ready to take place if I want it. Somebody say, if I want it. Right. When will I get it? How will I get it? Can I get it? If you want it. If I want it, this is mine. If I want to walk in this word, this is mine. If I want to walk in healing, it's mine. If I choose and want to be saved and delivered and set free, if I want it, it's mine. He's not going to hold any. Listen, he won't hold anything from you tonight. He won't hold a healing of your body from you tonight. He won't hold a healing of an addiction from you tonight. He won't hold back a healing of your marriage. He won't hold back a healing of your relationship with your kids. He will not hold back anything for you tonight. God told me to tell you that it's not over. And so when we make up our mind, see, I love this. Broken, I'm broken. However, God said that he's come to mend up the brokenhearted. I know, but Pastor, you don't know what I've been through. Oh, but I know who's been taking care of you. You may not have known he was there. You may not have felt his presence. You may have felt as far away from God as you can get. But the Bible says nothing can separate me from the love of God. Nothing. No height, no depth. It don't matter how far we go, how close we are. Nothing can. He is always pursuing you. Isn't it awesome that even in your nasty, he don't like it? Listen, thank God that he says that our praise is like sweet-smelling savor in his nostrils. Isn't that awesome? Because while you stinking up your life, somebody else over here praising, he don't have to smell you. Ain't that awesome? I'm just going to see if y'all was listening. So I feel defeated, however. Done for, however. It's over, however. You're never going to get it together, however. I'm never going to make it back, however. God is offering us a however moment. However, verse number 22 again. However, the hair on his head began to grow back after it had been shaven. You see, this is a symbol of God and his strength returning to him. I told you before, in that verse, it said that he did not know, but he did not know that the Lord had departed from him. It's not about your hair. Okay, listen, it's not about your cigarettes. It's not about the sex. It's not about the sin. It's not about the deceit. It's not about the gossip and the lying. It's not about the backbiting. It's not about the dissension, the stirring of dissension. It's not about the drugs. It's about God. It's all about his presence. It's all about the relationship you have with him. When we understand that when we're messing, we're destroying our relationship with him. He's still going to love you. Listen to me. He's still going to love you. He loves you. Whether you feel right with him or not, he loves you. Whether you've been saved or not, he loves you. And what's crazy, I think we don't get it. He loves you just like he loves the pedophile. You know, the ones we would crucify if we could. You know the ones? The mass murderers. He loves them like he loves you. Don't seem fair, does it? Listen, I love the statement, I think I'm a good guy. I've never killed anybody. That don't change his love for you. I'm a good guy and I've killed somebody. He still loves them. If we would forget that what we've done, our shame, our regret, our sin, our foolishness, our crazy thinking, our mouth does not settle whether God loves you or not. God loves you. You can't change that. I've done so much. He don't love me. He loves you. You can't do enough. Nothing will change his mind. If something could change his mind, he would have sent the angels to come and rescue Jesus off of that cross. And I don't know what this world would look like then, but he loves you. And he's sent me tonight. If I never get to preach to you again, if I never get to share the gospel with you again, if I never get to tell you another story, for whatever reason that may happen, listen to me. He told me to tell you it's not over. You may have felt like quitting. You may not even feel like you fit in. You may feel like everybody's abandoned you, and he is standing right there. He is standing there, sticking closer to you than a brother, never forsaking you, ready to adopt you into the kingdom of heaven, wanting to wrap his arms around you, his big daddy arms, and tell you that it's not over. Don't give up on yourself, because I'm not giving up on you. Don't quit, because I didn't quit. I went all the way to Calvary. I went all the way to the tomb. I went all the way to heaven. I'm interceding at the right hand of the Father so that you understand that it's not over. Praise the Lord. Woohoo! And so where are we at? We're looking at Samson. We're finding him right now at the grinding wheel. However, he's a prisoner. However, his hair has begun to grow back. And so let's move on. Let's finish the story. I don't want you to ever think it's over. It's never over as long as we have breath. Judges chapter verse number 23, 16:23. It says, now the lords of the Philistines gathered together to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon, their god. And so now we're going to change gods. Can I tell you that our God, Samson's God, is keeping him in this prison? Though he's in a horrible situation, though he's in a horrible environment, though he's in a terrible atmosphere, God has not left him. The Lord, the Spirit of the Lord had left him. The strength of the Lord had left him. But look, his hair's growing back. Are you listening? Your hair's growing back. He hasn't left you. It's not over. Here comes the end of that story, but it's just the beginning of what God can do for you. It says, and so it says, our God, Dagon, has delivered into our hands Samson, our enemy. Then the people saw him, and they praised their God. And they said, our God has delivered into our hands our enemy, the destroyer of our land, and the one who multiplied our dead. So it happened, when their hearts were merry, and that they said, call for Samson, let him perform for us. So they called for Samson. Did I tell you that, however, his hair has begun to grow back on his head? Okay. And so we understand that now they've called for him. So they called Samson from the prison, and he performed for them. And they stationed him between the pillars. And Samson said to the lad that held him by the hand, let me feel the pillars which support the temple so that I can lean on them. Man, I don't know if you've been here, but there is a bunch of people here. Thousands of people. Best I can tell, thousands on the roof balcony. Can you imagine how big this place is? You've probably not been anywhere this big, maybe. Maybe you have, but it's big. And so there's thousands of people up on the roof. I can't tell you all that. Let's just get on with it. And said, I want to stand between the pillars. I want to be able to lean on them. Verse 27. Now the temple was full of men and women, and the Lord of the Philistines were there, about 3,000 men and women on the roof. Woo-hoo! Now that's a deck right there. Pastor Tammy and I had a deck that would hold 3,000. We'd have a cookout Friday evening. Everybody's invited. Everybody. And you can invite everybody you know, and we could have a picnic, have a cookout. And it says there's about 3,000 men and women on the roof watching while Samson performed. Then Samson called to the Lord. You see, there comes a time that you can't do it by yourself. You have to get a revelation. You have to have a revelation. Listen, your revelation can come naturally, but your help comes supernaturally. There's times when you have to get a revelation in yourself. and say, I can't do it anymore. I can't do this by myself. I'm tired of living like this. I've lived like this for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 10 years, and it's not worked out. I'm tired of living like. You have to get a revelation in yourself, in the natural. Call on God if you want him to deliver you supernaturally. And so we can get a revelation right here. And he says, oh Lord God, remember me, I pray. Have you ever said that? If you haven't, tonight's a good night to say that. I've said that laying in my living room floor. Pastor Tammy's probably said that laying in our living room floor. We've cried out to God in times when we didn't understand, in times when people had turned their backs on us, in times when all hell had broke loose, in times when it looked like everybody was against us, but we knew God was still pushing us. God was still for us. We didn't care who was against us because God was for us. And so tonight, don't care who's against you. It don't matter who's against you. You need to know that God is for you. And Samson knew in this however moment that it wasn't over. He knew God was for him. He said, Lord God, remember me, I pray. Strengthen me, I pray. Just this once. Isn't that something? Let me help you with something. I don't pray that last part because I'm going to need him tomorrow. Okay? Samson's in a whole new ball game here. He's at a whole different level than we are. And so we're going to see this unfold. He says, just this once, O God, that I may with one blow take vengeance on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. He's still working for God. How crazy. Blind. Yep. Lost his vision. Yep. You may have lost your vision, but you can make up your mind tonight. You're still going to work for God. You may have lost your vision. You may have lost your way. You may have given up hope. Listen. He says that, listen, I want to take vengeance on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars which supported the temple, and he braced himself against them. Can you imagine what this looked like? Every cartoon I've ever seen drawn about this, man, Samson is a beast. You guys have probably seen it. I used to wear a T-shirt that had him on it. Man, he was huge. You know, he looked like he's been running the grinding wheel. He may very well be huge right now. But that's not where the strength came from. That's not the strength. It wasn't the hair. It's not in his muscles. If it was in his muscles, he wouldn't worry about this prayer he's praying right here. If you had it just in you, you wouldn't worry about praying this prayer right here. If you could do it yourself, you probably wouldn't even be here tonight. You'd say, I don't need that. I'm not wasting my Wednesday evening, man. I can do this on my own. And there's some people that's not here tonight feel that way, so they're going to watch Facebook about 10, about 11. I hope they're just all to pieces, don't you? About 11. And so verse number 29, it says he took hold of the 2 middle pillars that supported the temple, and he braced himself against them, one on the right and the other with his left. And Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. And he pushed with all his might. Whose might did he push with? His. Whose might? His. He pushed with all his might. You see, some of us are waiting on God to drag us through it, push us through it, take us through it. He possibly is waiting on you to push with all your might. It may be something you're going through, and you need to quit pansying out. You need to quit babying out. You need to quit wimping out. You need to quit throwing in the towel. You need to quit giving up. You need to quit crying. You need to quit whining about it and moaning about it and complaining about it. And it may just be time for you to push with all your might. This may be a moment in your life, in your relationships, in your walk with God that you need to push with all your might so you can see what God's getting ready to do. It may be that moment when you need to push with all your... I believe that God's just looking for a church that's ready to push with all their might. Listen, I want to move the kingdom of heaven forward, and if you want to move it with me, we've got to push with all of our might. I want my children saved and my grandchildren saved, and if you want to push with me, we need to push with all our might. If you want to do it, listen, there's some things that we can't do, and there's a whole lot of things we can do, and if you'll do what you can do, God will do what you can't do. He will meet you right there in the middle of that. It didn't say that Samson could push them down. It said that he pushed with all of his might, and if you'll make up your mind, I'm going to do everything I can do, and I'm going to let God do everything I can't do, then your life will never be the same. And so it says right here, I don't know about anybody else. I'm about to get tore. I told somebody Sunday, I said, I'm about to do a jig. I don't know if we need to move the back row out, get rid of some chairs, because when I go around the corner, I'm going to round it like I'm coming around third base heading for home. I'm just telling you. There's a stirring in this church. There's a stirring in the spirit that God is getting ready to do something here that is going to be bigger than anything you could think or imagine. And all I can tell you is get ready. All I can tell you is it's not over. All I can tell you is, however, his hair began to grow back. And it says right here, he took hold of the pillars and he pushed with all his might. And the temple fell upon the lords and all the people that were in it. So the dead that he killed at his death was more than those he killed in his life. I don't know about you, but while I was living on my own without God, he asked me. I didn't save anybody then. I didn't save anybody when I was living for the world, living in the world. Didn't save anybody. But when I finally died to myself, I have helped more people in my death than I ever did in my life. When I chose to die to myself and serve God, die to my emotions, die to my sin, die to my lust, die to my mess, and trust him and depend on him, I have helped more people in my dying than I ever did in my living. And I really thought I was living. I thought I was living. I could be the life of the party. I thought I was living. But when I made up my mind to present myself as a living sacrifice, died to my past, died to myself, God has allowed me to help more people than any time when I thought I was living. Amen? Stand to your feet for me just a second. I don't know what you're going through tonight. And I don't know what this message meant for you tonight. I know that if there's 125 to 140 people in here, then there's 140 reasons or 140 things that this message meant tonight. But I can tell you that title is straight from the Lord. And he wants to declare over you. He wants you to declare over you, it's not over. It's not over. Your place isn't always at the grinding wheel. Your place isn't always misery. Your place isn't always defeat. It's not over yet. And if you'll begin to push with all of your might and let God show himself strong in your life, I promise you, you'll never be the same. Your marriage will never be the same. Your finances will never, your children will never be the same. We watch people get saved. We watch people get locked in. We see marriages healed. We see marriages changed. And once they let their guard down and it starts to, the excitement's gone and the testimony isn't as whatever and they're not as moved and then they're back playing and all this. We see kids that have watched their family come together for the glory of God, giving testimony. Man, you should see my mom and dad now. You should see our family now. And now they're watching it fall apart again. It's scary to me. It's scary to me. They may still be in church. They still pray over their food. But listen to me. This thing that God lights in you, inside of you tonight, don't let it burn out. Don't let it burn out. You keep nurturing it. Listen, you couldn't get a puppy and put it in a building and wait 3 years and expect to have a big, strong dog, right? You can't do it the same way. You nurture that. You nurture your marriage. You nurture your relationship with your children. You nurture that job that God gave you. You go into that workplace and you represent God. Listen to me. This message could have jumped any area of anybody's life in this building. Any area. And I can tell you it's not over yet. It's not over. It's not over. Amen. If you have a need tonight, I want you to present it to the Lord. I don't know if you want to come up here or not. Listen, this altar is open. I don't know if you want to come up here. And God's in this building. As far as I'm concerned, it don't matter if you come up here. He sees your heart. But sometimes you may need to push with all your might. I'm too embarrassed. Push. I don't know that I'd be too embarrassed to go up there. Push. You either want him to show up in this however moment or you don't. I mean, I'm that guy, man. If I want something, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. And you may not want me to have it. Well, hang on. Grab me by the shirt. I'll take you with me and you can see what happens. Listen, God's offering everybody in here tonight, everybody, I'm not going to say somebody, everybody, a chance to change some place in your life. Some area of your life is going to be different when you leave here tonight. Tell him what it is. Amen. Let's pray. Tell him what it is.